Hello, my friends. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for stopping by. And if you're new here, I am Jim. Today I'm talking about Luminar Neo, and specifically I'm taking a series of brackets that I shot in London at night and I'm merging them into HDR Merge because I want to talk about doing HDRs at night, especially in cities where you have a little bit of a light source. That would be like the buildings, the street lights, whatever it might be. You can use that to really help amp up the overall result using HDR Merge. So what I'm doing is taking this bracket set right here. Let me highlight those. In fact, before I highlight them, let me just show you individual images. Here's the first one. It's fairly dark overall. There's the second one, obviously a little bit brighter. And here's the third one, quite a bit brighter. What I find myself doing in the past was often I would take a series of brackets and I'd say, oh, they're just too dark. And so I'm just going to use this exposure, which is the brightest one. And I thought, hey, I'll use that and just edit that. So I don't really need to do an HDR because the other ones are too dark, blah, blah, blah. And it's not really worth it when I can just use this exposure. But HDR is all about light, of course. And so if you've got bracket sets, or if you're going to go out and take some, try it at night, get these bracket sets, drag them over here to HDR Merge and see what you come up with. Because, as I said, HDR is all about light. You can get some really fantastic and powerful results and then go in and use all the other creative tools in Luminar Neo to create an image that really stands out. Let me show you how that's going to work today. Okay, so voila, there is my merged image. That's a 3 exposure bracket, merge in HDR Merge. And now what I want to do is take advantage of all these powerful tools in Luminar to really bring it to life. So I'm going to start by pulling down the highlights a little bit and of course bumping up those shadows. One thing I often find myself doing in night shots in the city, because of all these yellow green kind of orange lights, I tend to cool these off quite a bit. So I'm going to go into the temperature slider and I'm going to pull that down fairly significantly and also lift the tint. Now this is of course a personal choice simply because I like cooler and a little bit more magenta tint or cast to my night shots in cities. Personal preference, if you kind of like the yellow look, then you don't have to do that. Or, of course, you could season it to taste, maybe not do it as much as I do. I'm also going to bump up the vibrance. I do want to bring those colors to life because there actually is a lot of color in this scene, but it was, kind of hidden, for lack of a better word. And I'm going to do about a 30 on sharpness. So overall, my develop has taken me from that to that. That's a massive improvement. And I'm just getting started. There's quite a bit more I want to do. Now, remember, HDR is all about light, so I've done quite a bit to adjust the light, but one of the best tools for that is super contrast, and I want to go in and make some further refinements in order to balance it out and kind of get the light looking the way I want it to look. Okay, so as you can see here, I've gone ahead and made the changes or adjustments. The beautiful thing about super contrast is, of course, it's adjusting contrast for you in each of the 3 major tonal areas, the highlights, the midtones, and of course, the shadows. So if you look at the before, there it is, slightly darker overall, deeper, darker pockets of light, and now a little bit brighter in certain areas. Again, this is all a season to taste kind of thing. Super contrast, incredibly important and I think powerful tool. One of the best tools I think in Luminar Neo overall. Now that I've got that done, I do want to go into Accent AI, which I tend to do sort of late in my edits, or at the very least maybe in the middle of my edit, like in this photo. I rarely use it at the beginning simply because I think it does a lot of things to a photo and I tend to prefer to do them with other tools where I have more control and then use Accent AI a little bit later to give it a little bit of a pop. But there it is before Accent AI and there it is now. Now another tool that's incredibly powerful is color harmony and specifically the color balance section. I'm going to go into midtones and all I'm going to do on the yellow blue is just do about a +20. Now again, this is personal preference, kind of a color preference for me because I like that cooler look on night shots in the city. So I took the midtones, which are really prevalent in most images, and I took the yellows in the midtone away, or I went away from the yellows toward the blue. So if you look at the before, there it is, a little bit warmer in certain areas, and now a little bit cooler overall, which also for me, kind of impacts a little bit of contrast and makes it feel a little bit darker, which is slightly counter to what I did with super contrast. But again, my editing is always It's a winding road, my friends. There's no straight path from A to B and I'm done with an image. I'm always kind of just maneuvering and wandering, for lack of a better word, until I find what I want. But what I did here is take the midtones, which there's a lot of them in any image, and just create a little bit more blue, which cools off the image pretty much overall. So one more time before and after that move. Now, one of the great things about Luminar Neo is you can use tools again and again and again. So I'm going to go into develop, I'm going to get shadows, and I'm actually going to lift these quite a bit. I end up lifting them a 50 overall, but it's basically brightening up the image. So that's helping me take advantage of all the light that is in the photo and kind of brightening it overall, lifting some of the shadows. So again, kind of a delicate dance and a meandering path, as I've said, where I'm using HDR to brighten the photo, making adjustments in develop, I'm making adjustments in super contrast, I add a little accent AI, I'm using develop again. Again, I'm just trying to figure out what is the optimal balance of light in a photo. Remember, HDR is about light. Really, any photo is about light, any photo edit, but I was able to take it from that to that just by moving the shadow slider. That's what I love about Neo, being able to just go back again and again and hit the same tool in perhaps different parts of the photo if you want to mask it in, or in this case, I used it globally, but it gave me a nice brighter image, which I think is really bringing this night scene to life. And for me, one thing I love to do is just soften up skies a little bit. There was a little bit of haze or kind of mist falling. As you can see, it's kind of wet. This is London after all. So what I did is I ended up going about a -70 on structure, and then I go into mask AI, and I'm just going to use that intelligence to find the sky for me and stick that negative structure AI into the sky. Okay, Luminar did all the hard work, found the sky for me. I clicked on sky, and now I can just make my adjustments, refine them further if I want to. I just wanted to smooth it out a little bit because some of the misty kind of drizzle that was coming down looked a little bit like noise. Again, personal preference, as is really any edit. I think you should edit however you want to edit because they're your photos. You should make them look the way you want them to look. These are just ideas for you. But, well, let me zoom in so you can see that a little bit better. There it is before. You can see a little bit of that in the sky, and there it is now a little bit smoother. And that's my full edit, my friends. Let me give you the before and after. That's what my base HDR looked like. So you can see the massive amount of change you can do using that HDR Merge in addition to all the powerful filters in Luminar Neo. That's my final result. If you enjoyed this video, I think you'll really like that one about HDR Merge. And that's it for this one, my friends. I'll be back soon with more videos. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. Thumbs up, sub if you haven't, and I'll see you soon, my friends. You guys take care, and until then, adios.